Gentlemen. You know, most men over 50 start their mornings the same way, with a cup of coffee. It's almost sacred, isn't it? That quiet ritual before the world wakes up, the smell, the warmth, that first sip that seems to say, you're still in control. But what if I told you, that very same cup might be missing the ingredients your body now craves the most, the ones that keep you strong, focused, and vital as the years go by? I know it sounds surprising. For decades, we've been told coffee gives us energy, alertness, a mental edge. And it does, for a while. But then comes that familiar crash. You feel the heartbeat quicken, the focus fade, and by mid-morning, you're already reaching for cup number 2. Here's what's really happening beneath the surface. As we age, our blood vessels lose flexibility. Testosterone levels begin to drop. And that quick jolt of caffeine? It's like a spark on a weak battery. It lights up for a moment, but it doesn't fix the underlying charge. One of my patients, a retired firefighter, 62-year-old, told me, "Doc, I can fight through the fatigue, but I can't fight through feeling less myself." That's when I realized something powerful. Sometimes the solution isn't in another pill or supplement. It's in the small rituals we already do, like the cup of coffee waiting for us each morning. So today, I want to show you how to turn that ordinary habit into something extraordinary, what I call coffee therapy. A simple, evidence-based way to support your circulation, your hormone balance, and your daily vitality, naturally. I'm Dr. Olivia Hayes, a urologist who's spent over a decade helping men over 50 restore their strength and confidence not through medication, but through smarter daily choices. And this begins with your morning cup. You know, one of the most fascinating things I've learned in my years as a urologist is this: the smallest changes in our daily routine often bring the biggest transformations to our health. And sometimes, those changes begin right inside your morning cup of coffee. Let's start with 2 of the simplest, yet most powerful, natural additions I've seen make a real difference for men over 50, cinnamon and cocoa powder. They sound simple, but what they do inside your body is remarkable. Cinnamon, the sugar regulator. I want you to imagine something for a moment. Inside your body are thousands of tiny blood vessels, thinner than a strand of hair, carrying oxygen and nutrients to every cell, including the most vital areas responsible for male vitality. When blood sugar levels stay high for too long, these tiny vessels start to stiffen and weaken, almost like old pipes in need of repair. That's one of the silent reasons why so many men experience poor circulation as they age. Cinnamon, particularly Ceylon cinnamon, not the common cassia type, is one of nature's most underrated protectors. It helps regulate blood sugar, keeping those levels steady throughout the day. In fact, studies show it can lower fasting glucose by up to 29%. That's not a small number. That's a biological shift that can directly influence how well your blood flows and how efficiently your body delivers oxygen where it matters most. A patient of mine, a 58-year-old carpenter, once told me, "Doc, I didn't think something as simple as cinnamon could change how I felt." He used to have mid-morning crashes, shaky hands, brain fog, that drained feeling that sends you reaching for another cup of coffee. After a few weeks of adding a pinch of cinnamon to his morning brew, he noticed his energy stayed more balanced, his focus sharper, and his circulation, well, let's just say it improved in ways he didn't expect. The science behind it is clear. Cinnamon reduces something called glycation, a process where excess sugar damages your blood vessels, making them less elastic. It also promotes vasodilation, or the widening of those vessels, through compounds that boost nitric oxide, the same molecule responsible for healthy blood flow in men. That's why in many cultures, from ancient Persia to the markets of Mexico, cinnamon coffee has been a morning tradition for centuries. They may not have called it vascular support, but that's exactly what it was doing. And here's a small but important tip: if you use cinnamon daily, choose Ceylon cinnamon. It contains much less coumarin, a compound that, in large doses, can stress the liver. A 1/4 teaspoon each morning is plenty. It's gentle, it's warming, and over time, it helps your body remember how to find its rhythm again. Cocoa powder, the nitric oxide booster. Now, let's talk about something that might surprise you: cocoa. Not the sugary hot chocolate mix, but the dark, unsweetened kind, so rich it almost looks black. You might not think of cocoa as medicine, but your blood vessels do. Cocoa is packed with flavonoids, natural compounds that help your arteries relax and open up, improving blood flow throughout the body. Think of it as a workout for your vascular system, gentle, consistent, strengthening from the inside out. One study from the Journal of Hypertension showed that men who consumed cocoa daily saw a 30% improvement in flow-mediated dilation, which is just a fancy way of saying their arteries became more responsive, more flexible, and more alive. That's the kind of improvement medications aim for, but here, it comes naturally. Beyond blood flow, cocoa does something equally important: it supports mood and mental clarity. It contains compounds like anandamide and phenylethylamine, which your brain produces when you feel calm, confident, and connected. Many of my older patients describe this as the return of the spark, not in a sexual way, but in how they show up to life again. They wake up with more drive, more optimism, and less fatigue clouding their mornings. And here's the bonus: cocoa is one of the richest natural sources of magnesium, a mineral critical for testosterone production and muscle function. Most men over 50 are deficient in magnesium, not because they eat poorly, but because stress and age deplete it faster. So, when you stir that teaspoon of cocoa into your coffee, you're not just creating a mocha, you're feeding your hormonal engine. If the taste feels a bit bitter at first, don't worry. Add a touch of monk fruit or stevia, natural sweeteners that won't spike your blood sugar. Over time, your palate adjusts, and you begin to crave that rich, grounding flavor because your body recognizes what it's giving you back. You see, these two simple ingredients, cinnamon and cocoa, are not just about flavor. They're about function. They stabilize your blood sugar, improve circulation, lift your mood, and quietly support your hormonal balance every single day. Now let's talk about one of my favorite ingredients, something ancient, powerful, and surprisingly gentle. It's called maca powder, often referred to as the hormone balancer. Maca powder, the hormone balancer of cinnamon, helps your blood flow better, and cocoa opens your vessels wider. Then maca speaks directly to the control center of your body, the delicate axis that governs your hormones. Inside your brain sits a tiny but mighty structure called the hypothalamus, which works hand in hand with your pituitary gland. Together, they send precise signals to your testicles, telling them how much testosterone to produce, when to ramp up, when to slow down. But as we age, that communication line, that internal radio signal, begins to fade. It's not that your body forgets how to produce testosterone, it just loses the clear connection to do so. That's where maca comes in. This humble root from the Andes Mountains grows at 14,000 feet, in one of the harshest environments on Earth. Because of that, it's packed with nutrients designed to help living things adapt and thrive under stress. That's exactly what it does inside you. Maca is what we call an adaptogen. It helps your body restore balance, not by forcing hormones up or down, but by reminding your system how to find equilibrium again. A few years ago, I had a patient named Robert, 54-year-old, high school teacher, sharp mind, low energy. He told me, "Dr. Hayes, I don't feel sick, I just feel dimmed. Like someone turned the brightness down on life." He didn't want medication, he wanted his natural rhythm back. We added 1 teaspoon of maca powder to his morning coffee routine. Within 3 weeks, he noticed subtle but steady changes, better focus, more stamina at work, and what he called a quiet return of confidence. By week 6, his lab results showed a measurable rise in testosterone, not a spike, but a healthy upward correction. That's what maca does: slow, steady, sustainable support. Research backs this up. A 2009 study showed that men taking about 2.4 grams of maca daily for 12 weeks experienced significant improvements in mood, energy, and male vitality. Another study noted improved sperm quality and motility, key indicators of hormonal health. But more than the numbers, what I've seen in real life is that men simply feel more like themselves again. And the taste? It's slightly nutty, a bit earthy, with a hint of caramel. Some describe it as malted milk. There are 3 types: yellow, red, and black. Yellow is mild and best for beginners. Red supports prostate health, while black is favored for stamina and energy. Start small, 1 teaspoon per day, and let your body adjust. Think of it not as a supplement, but as nourishment for your hormone system. Coconut oil/MCT, the testosterone fuel. Now, let's move to another simple but essential piece of the puzzle: healthy fat. For decades, men were told to avoid fat, to go low-fat everything. But here's the irony: testosterone is literally made from cholesterol and fats. Without the right kinds, your body doesn't have the raw materials to produce the hormones that keep you strong, focused, and vital. That's why I love adding coconut oil, or its purified form, MCT oil, into morning coffee. When blended into hot coffee, it turns creamy, rich, and satisfying, almost like a latte from an expensive cafe. But what it does inside your body is even more remarkable. Coconut oil is rich in medium-chain triglycerides, or MCTs. Unlike long-chain fats from meats or dairy, MCTs don't need complicated digestion. They go straight to the liver, where they're rapidly converted into clean, usable energy. That means steadier energy throughout the morning, not the roller coaster caffeine crash you might be used to. A study published in the Journal of Nutritional Biochemistry found that men consuming MCT-rich fats had 20% higher testosterone levels than those using other fats. That's because these fats optimize how the body uses cholesterol, the building block of every hormone, including testosterone. I once worked with a 67-year-old veteran named Thomas. He told me his mornings felt like hitting neutral. The engine ran, but there was no drive. We switched his breakfast from dry toast and black coffee to 1 cup of blended coffee with a teaspoon of coconut oil. The first week, he said he felt full longer. By week 3, he told me, I don't need that second cup anymore. My energy just stays. His blood work later showed improved testosterone and thyroid function, both supported by those healthy fats. Here's a small but important detail: don't just stir the oil in, it'll float on top like a slick. Use a blender or a small frother to emulsify it, turning it into a smooth, milky drink. Start slow, maybe half a teaspoon, and give your body time to adjust. Too much too soon can upset digestion, especially if your gallbladder isn't used to processing fats. Over time, this bulletproof-style coffee doesn't just fuel your morning, it nourishes your hormone system, stabilizes your metabolism, and gives your brain the steady energy it craves. The fat slows down caffeine absorption, creating a calm, sustained focus instead of that anxious spike many men experience. When I see my patients make these small adjustments, adding a teaspoon of maca or blending in a bit of coconut oil, I often notice something shift not just in their health, but in their spirit. They start the day grounded, fueled, and confident, not chasing energy, but owning it. Because real vitality isn't about doing more, it's about doing what matters, more wisely. And sometimes, all it takes is a little change in your coffee cup. Now, if you've ever taken a sip of something with ginger, that warm, slightly spicy tingle that spreads through your body, you've already felt a glimpse of what this next ingredient can do. Ginger, the circulation igniter for thousands of years, ginger has been a symbol of energy and vitality in traditional medicine. But modern science is finally catching up to what our ancestors instinctively knew: this humble root is a circulation powerhouse. When we talk about male vitality, we're really talking about blood flow. Everything, energy, focus, endurance, even confidence, depends on how well your blood moves through those tiny vessels. And ginger, my friend, is nature's way of keeping those vessels open, flexible, and alive. Here's how it works. Ginger contains compounds called gingerols and shogales, which have powerful anti-inflammatory properties. They help relax the smooth muscles of your arteries, improving circulation from head to toe, including the pelvic region. That's why so many of my patients describe feeling lighter or warmer after just a few days of using it. I remember one patient, Daniel, 61 years old, a long-haul truck driver who sat for hours each day. He came to me complaining about fatigue, sluggishness, and feeling stiff all over. We added just a quarter teaspoon of ginger powder to his morning coffee, nothing else. 2 weeks later, he smiled and said, "Doc, I don't know if it's coincidence, but I feel like the engine's running smoother again." His blood pressure dropped slightly, his energy was steadier, and he told me something else, in a quiet tone: circulation seems to be back online. And that's not placebo. A 2012 study found that daily ginger supplementation for 3 months increased testosterone by about 17% and improved sperm health in men. Researchers believe ginger protects the testicles from oxidative stress, that's the gradual rusting that happens from daily wear, heat, and environmental toxins. By reducing that stress, ginger keeps the body's natural testosterone production system functioning properly. If you can, use fresh ginger, about a thin slice, the size of a coin. Fresh ginger contains volatile oils that deliver an instant circulation boost, perfect for mornings. If you prefer convenience, use ginger powder, it's more concentrated and excellent for long-term benefits. You can even mix it with cinnamon and cocoa in a small jar by your coffee maker, your own Vitality blend. Just remember, start small. Ginger is strong, and a little goes a long way. A quarter teaspoon a day is enough to warm your system, boost blood flow, and gently awaken your body's natural vitality from within. L-citrulline powder, the vessel opener. Now let's talk about something that sounds scientific but works beautifully simple once you understand it, L-citrulline. If ginger is the spark that lights the fire, L-citrulline is the steady oxygen that keeps it burning. Here's what I mean. Your body relies on a compound called nitric oxide, or NO, to signal blood vessels to open up and let blood flow freely. When you were younger, your body produced plenty of it. But after 50, nitric oxide levels can drop by almost half. That's one of the biggest reasons men start to feel slower, heavier, less energetic, and yes, notice changes in circulation and function. L-citrulline is an amino acid that helps fix that problem naturally. When you consume it, your body converts it into L-arginine, which then produces nitric oxide. Think of it as a 3-step chain. Here's how it works. Your body converts citrulline into arginine, which then produces nitric oxide. And that nitric oxide? It tells your blood vessels to open up and let blood flow freely. Improved blood flow everywhere, especially to the pelvic region, where those tiny vessels are often the first to lose elasticity. A clinical trial from the Journal of Urology showed that men who took L-citrulline daily experienced significant improvement in vascular responsiveness, what doctors call endothelial function. In plain language, their blood vessels remembered how to open up again. I often recommend it to men who say, "Doc, my body still wants to move, but it feels like the gas isn't reaching the engine." That's a perfect description of poor nitric oxide signaling. When you restore that, the engine roars back to life, naturally. The best part? L-citrulline is almost tasteless and dissolves easily in hot drinks. You can add about 1 to 2 grams of it to your morning coffee, and it won't change the flavor at all. It's like invisible maintenance for your arteries, quiet, steady, and incredibly effective. Some of my patients prefer it before workouts, others just take it in the morning. Either way, the effects build gradually. Within a few weeks, they notice better stamina, lighter legs, improved focus, and smoother circulation throughout the day. I had one 70-year-old patient who told me, "I thought it was just age catching up, but it was really my blood flow slowing down." After adding L-citrulline for a month, he said, "I didn't just feel younger, I felt clearer. Like my whole body was breathing again." And that's exactly what this is about, helping your body remember how to function at its best. No tricks, no harsh chemicals, just gentle science working with your biology, not against it. Most men don't need a new routine. They just need to upgrade the one they already have. So tomorrow morning, as you pour that first cup of coffee, try adding a quarter teaspoon of cinnamon and a teaspoon of cocoa. Take a sip. Notice how it feels, the warmth, the richness, the steady energy that follows. Sometimes healing doesn't come from doing more, it comes from doing the same things, but with greater wisdom. And that wisdom can start right here, with the coffee in your hands. Turmeric plus black pepper, the anti-inflammatory shield. Let's talk about one final ingredient, one that might already be sitting quietly in your kitchen spice rack, turmeric, paired with a tiny but mighty companion, black pepper. Turmeric has been used for centuries in India and Southeast Asia as both food and medicine. When you look at its deep golden color, you can almost sense what it does inside your body. It brings warmth, healing, and balance. The key compound inside it, curcumin, is one of nature's most powerful anti-inflammatory agents. It calms down the silent inflammation that builds up in your blood vessels, your joints, even your prostate, the kind of inflammation that doesn't cause pain right away but slowly steals your energy, your mood, and your vitality over the years. In medical terms, chronic inflammation is like rust on metal, slow, invisible, but damaging. Curcumin works like a natural rust remover for your cells. It supports testosterone production by reducing oxidative stress in the testicular tissue and helps keep the prostate healthy by calming inflammatory signals that can cause it to enlarge over time. But here's something fascinating: curcumin on its own isn't easily absorbed by the body. It needs a little helper, piperine, the active compound in black pepper. When you pair turmeric with even a pinch of black pepper, the absorption of curcumin increases up to 20 times. That's a simple but crucial detail most people overlook. I often tell my patients, don't just eat turmeric, activate it. Just a quarter teaspoon of turmeric powder with a small pinch of black pepper stirred into your morning coffee can do wonders. The flavor is subtle, a touch earthy, slightly spicy, but when blended with cocoa or cinnamon, it adds a depth that feels both grounding and invigorating. One of my patients, Samuel, 68 years old, a retired engineer, used to complain about joint stiffness and low morning energy. He started adding this turmeric black pepper blend to his coffee each day. After a month, he said, "Doc, I didn't expect coffee to make my knees feel better, but here we are." He also noticed his mood improved, which makes sense, because curcumin is known to support serotonin and dopamine balance. This small ritual became his anchor. It wasn't about coffee anymore, it was about self-respect, the quiet act of doing something good for his body each morning. And that, to me, is the real medicine. Now, if you're listening to all this and thinking, that's a lot of ingredients, let me ease your mind, you don't need all 7 at once. Health isn't about doing everything perfectly, it's about starting somewhere and staying consistent. Start small, one change each week. Think of it as a gentle experiment. Week 1, add a dash of cinnamon. Week 2, stir in a spoonful of cocoa. Week 3, try maca for that steady, natural energy. Week 4, blend in a touch of coconut oil, watch your mornings smooth out. Weeks 5 and 6, experiment with ginger, L-citrulline, and finally, turmeric with black pepper. Each week, just notice how your body responds. You might feel warmer, clearer, more focused. Or maybe your energy lasts longer through the afternoon. That's your body saying thank you. I always tell my patients, you don't need to overhaul your life overnight. Small, consistent steps are what create lasting change. It's not about chasing youth, it's about nurturing longevity. I've seen men in their 50s, even their 60s, find that morning strength they thought was long gone. And not just physical strength, I'm talking about that inner spark. The part of you that wakes up feeling grounded, confident, ready to take on the day. The body doesn't truly forget how to function, it just needs the right fuel to remember. When you give it what it's been missing, better circulation, cleaner energy, calmer inflammation, it begins to heal itself, cell by cell. One of my favorite moments as a doctor is when a patient comes back after a few weeks and says, "I don't feel old anymore. I just feel me again." And that's really the goal. Not to reverse time, but to reconnect with who you are when your body feels alive, capable, and strong. I want you to think about this tomorrow morning as you stand by your coffee pot. That quiet moment, before the world wakes up, it's a sacred space. It's your chance to decide, what kind of day will I build for myself today? And maybe, just maybe, that answer begins with a teaspoon of cinnamon, a dash of cocoa, and a little more care for the body that's carried you this far. Before we wrap up, I want to leave you with a question, one that starts a conversation, not just with me, but with yourself. What do you usually add to your coffee? Have you ever tried any of these natural boosters, cinnamon, cocoa, maca, or turmeric? What did you notice? Share it in the comments. Your story might be exactly what another man needs to hear to start his own journey. And if this conversation resonated with you, I invite you to subscribe to this channel. This is where we talk honestly, doctor to gentleman, about real solutions for men's health after 50. No quick fixes, no embarrassment, no noise. Just science, wisdom, and hope. Because what you do before bed is just as important as what you do when you wake up. Until then, remember this: your body still knows how to heal, how to strengthen, how to thrive. All it needs is a little help from you. So tomorrow morning, as you lift that cup of coffee, take a slow breath and remind yourself, you're not getting older, you're getting wiser. And your best days can still begin, one mindful sip at a time.